I'm live. Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome! It's January 31st. I know it's not a complete backdrop, but go with me, people. How are you doing, guys? It's me, Indiana Jones. Welcome. It's Sunday Night Live. And usually I have my brother hanging around, but not tonight. Tonight, it's a special night because tonight is the first Halloween of 2021. So on the 25th, I'm celebrating Halloween of Halloween. On the 25th of every month, I'm celebrating Christmas by hosting a playlist. On the 31st, I'm going to go live, be in costume, and just talk about creepy stuff. And tonight I have a special guest. I have found a kindred spirit in all things cool and creepy. Her name is Lern the Conjurer. She actually is in Florida too. We just found out. So we got to converge, If this is your first time here, please let me know. There's nothing more important to me than to meet someone that's out there that's new. Let me know how you found out about me, how you found out about Lern. And if you have a channel, let us know. And one of my Blue Wrenchy friends will be happy to share. And before we go any further, I just want to say hi to all the people that are out there. Real quick, we got Effie and Sandra and Pam. Sandy! Patty. I always have to go, Sandy! You know who that is. And let's see who else. Patty Fish. Watch, Learn. Thank you. Linda Lance. Deanna's here. How are you doing, Deanna? Deanna and I have a challenge coming up on the 7th of February. It's the flower of the month and it's violets. So that'll be fun. And I will be in costume for that too. Teresa is here. Who else is here? Jujubee. How you doing, Jujubee? Liz, Wanda. Ooh, Wanda. It reminds me, I'm watching WandaVision and I like it. Hi, Christine. Okay, I think I said hello. Sylvia, how are you guys doing? All right. Now, thank you. You're looking beautiful. When I tell you who I am, you won't think I'm that beautiful. I will tell you later. But now, the one, the only, Lern the Conjurer, that if you don't know about her channel, she talks about creepy, cool stuff while she paints. That's pretty cool. So here she is, the one, the only, Lern.
Hi, everybody.
Now, is Lern your name?
Actually, it's a nickname that I received in college. And the very short story that goes along with that is I was at a party, like most college places have, and most of my friends there were, as most in college parties, were not sober. And one of my friends was trying to call me from across the way. My real name is Lauren. So one of my friends is trying to call me from across the way and she can't get my attention. And she screams at the top of her lungs. She says, "Lern!" And I turned around. And then before you know it, everybody at the party who knew me was like, "Lern!" And it just stuck ever since. And for 12 years later, here I am. I'm known as Lern.
But that's pretty cool. Well, my name is actually Annie Jones. I mean, I can't run away. It's truly Annie Jones. I didn't make it up. People always say,
I love that.
So tell us first who you're dressed up as, and then tell us what we're going to make, what you're going to make.
Well, as you can see, I put on some very modest makeup today. And
yes,
I decided... I decided
I'm just in my house. I'm just in my house coat tonight, people.
Yeah, just wander around the house, pick up my Amazon packages. I dressed as Odile from Swan Lake. So those of you who might so there's two. I'm glad you asked. So in Swan Lake, there are technically one character, but they have two personalities. Odette, who's the white swan, and then Odile, who is inside of her as her dark personality, the black swan. Ooh. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I decided to dress as my best rendition of her. And of course, I took a little bit from Annie's book and grabbed a black feather and just stuck it in my head, like how she did for Christmas.
And today, in my head.
and today I decided I would do watercolor because I rarely touch watercolor. And to be honest, I'm like kind of weird about watercolor. Like, I'm like, I think I suck at it, but I'm gonna try. I decided I started it a little bit, but I am painting Maleficent. Hang on, there we go. I'm painting Maleficent. Oh, thank you, Connie.
I'm just showing everybody's like comments here. Connie is awesome. Melissa's here. Oh, this is so cool. Everybody's here. Cobwebs and candlesticks. He loves all things creepy all year round. So
He's cool.
You
He is
know
cool.
him.
I'm so glad that I found him. I was like, this is a cool channel. I am totally here. Hi.
Hi, very cool. And I am dressed as the Countess of Bathory. We'll go into that more because, like, you know, forget about fairy tale evil queens. We got you a story to tell you about a real evil queen. So she's the queen. She's the queen that the Snow White queen was based off of. But wait till you hear. Wait till you hear it. Scary. Hi, Maria. Oh, MK, you both look phenomenal. Everybody's like, oh, this is so fun. Okay, so show us what you're going to be painting. Bathory. Oh, wow. Do you know about Bathory? Deanna, that's cool. Scary stuff. So what are you going to be painting?
So I'll have here my painting of Maleficent that I'm just going to touch up. I decided to outline it because I do this in my videos. I'm like, oh, well, if I don't outline it, then you can't see it. So I just decided to go through to outline. So as we're talking, I'm just going to start detailing it out and like really bringing her out to life. Again, I almost rarely use watercolor, so be gentle.
Oh, we'll be gentle. We'll be gentle. I, of course, will be making an evil, what is it called? An evil mirror.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's perfectly face-sized.
That looks so cool.
I think you should just walk around like that. I think you'd look perfect.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
We'll just cut a hole out in a wall, and we'll just have you just like go right through. And
I know.
just work there.
I know. There you go. I love my coif. I love my coif because it's my real hair, people. These are my real hair.
This is not my real hair. Spoiler alert.
I'm going to use this mirror, even though it's smaller, but we'll work it. We'll work it. We'll make it work.
We're going to make it work.
So which story would you like to start with?
Okay.
Let's start with yours. Let's start with the swan.
Oh, perfect. So I only learned about this like real tale until after I watched the Don Bluth version of The Swan Princess, which if you haven't seen that, it's very sweet. I mean, you probably don't want to watch past movie 2 because then it gets really convoluted and weird, you know, just weird. Anyway, I remember watching it as a child and loving it. Just being obsessed with it, being like, this is a perfect fairy tale and it's all about true love and oh, I want to be Odette, you know, like every little girl does with princess movies. And
right.
And as I got older, I started to learn about the story of Swan Lake and I learned about Odette. And halfway through the story, Odette is then taken over by her inner personality, which is Odile. And Odile is dark and like scary and just very angry because her whole deal is that she's not being loved like Odette is. Odette is like the perfect, like pure being that everyone wants to be around. And she's gorgeous and emits this beautiful light.
So her inner self was jealous of herself?
Yeah.
Like her darker self. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Pretty weird, huh?
Interesting. Wait, I'm gonna move the camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. Hold on.
But basically, how
I have a glass of blood here.
Oh yes, of course you do. You like accuracy. Come on now. Come on.
I know.
Essentially what happens in the story is that Odile and Odette have this like inner battle, very like much of an inner turmoil thing. And the way it ends up working is that Odile and Odette end up coming together to reconcile with one another and truly love each other for themselves. And the prince gets left off into like nothing. Like it turns into love yourself for who you are. And though it's not entirely dark towards the end, it still, I think, rings true to what I think we all can relate. And that is that sometimes there's parts of ourselves that we don't love. And I think it's important to love every part of yourself, no matter what kind of casing it's in. So I think that's why I really loved it. So I decided to dress as her because, you know, I'm a little dark too.
Very so the dark side is, so did she try to like sabotage the love?
Oh yeah. Oh, she did the whole like, you know, I'm gonna steal your man thing, and like they were like canoodling and stuff. And then Odette, like it's basically not to, because I don't want to throw this word around because I am sensitive towards things like mental illness. It was almost like schizophrenia, like she would snap out of it and be like, well, now I'm Odette. And I don't, this is not who I am, and you cannot be this way with me. So it was almost like once again, it's an internal battle of how do I fight my own demons and still get what I want? And in the end, she didn't need the prince. Like, I think that she wanted the prince.
Girls, listen, we don't need the prince. It's good to have him around, but you don't need him. You want him, but you don't need him.
I'm saying you don't need the prince. I mean, like, listen, if you want your person, that's fine. I'm not gonna, turn down true love or whatever. Of course. But you don't need it. You don't need it to be complete. And that is the point of the entire story, I feel.
I'm sorry, I was adoring myself.
As you should. Look at that.
As I should.
Who thinks that Annie's gorgeous? I think she's gorgeous.
Oh, please.
She's so pretty. I'm so happy to be here.
Mind you, it's like I found this. Who would find this with me at Goodwill for like $2.50 or $5 or something? Right?
Oh, I did not know that. That's amazing.
I love this collar. It's like, I don't want to see you. Like, I can't see anybody.
It's the hater collar.
So let's talk a little bit about who I'm dressed up as. So you all know the story of Snow White.
Of course.
The evil queen looks in the mirror, tries to stay beautiful, and then when she finds out she's no longer beautiful, let's kill Snow White. Literally, straight up, let's go into the grim fairy tale version of her. We'll do the evil queen from Snow White first. So the whole thing with the evil queen and Snow White is like, she's like, says the huntsman, says, dude, I know you go out and kill the pheasants and stuff like that, and pigs. Can you kill Snow White for me and bring me back her lungs and her heart, because I want to eat them so I can stay young.
So brutal.
That's what happens in the real story, people.
So brutal.
So brutal. And then she ends up, finding the dwarves and then, hanging out with them, cleaning up their stuff. And then the queen finds out. I still hear backlog. I don't know. You still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, no, but do you still hear? I hear like an echo.
Oh, I'm fine on my end.
Okay, it must be the castle. It's a very echoey castle. So anyway, so the end of the story, you know how they say, oh, it's like prince comes and kisses you? No, that's not what happens. You know what happened? So first of all, the queen didn't try once. She tried 3 times, right? You know the story. So she tried 3 times. Once was with a corset. She strangled her with a corset pretty much. She put the corset on and tried to stop her from breathing.
Oh
the second time, you see, Annie, you have an echo. But it's not on my side. Is it on my side? Maybe it is. There. No, there's still an echo.
Oh, weird.
You hear an echo?
I don't. I for
they
whatever
hear
reason.
the echo on YouTube. Those darn castles. Anyway, so then she gives her a poisoned comb to put in her hair. You would think after the first time that she bought something from an old lady. The kid would learn. No, she doesn't. Oh, here comes another lady. Oh, what a beautiful comb. Can I? No, I'll give it to you for free. Don't take things for free. I have learned that. I learned that experience. Nothing comes for free.
No, ma'am.
I hear echo. Little echo. Not bad. The microphone could be too close to you. I only have one microphone. Let me see. Let me change microphones. Let me see if I change my microphone.
Technical difficulties.
There we go. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can still hear you fine.
Yeah, no, but it's them. They're having an issue.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody.
How about now? Still hear an echo. I hear the echo. Oh, well. But there's nothing open. I don't understand why there's an echo. Okay. Anyway. So lastly comes the apple. Kid doesn't learn. Pretty much stupidity, kind of paves the way for what happened to her. She dies. She dies. Not like she goes into a deep sleep. She dead.
Oh, yeah.
She's dead.
She real dead.
She real dead. And then, the dwarves are like, well, let's put her in a glass case. She's too pretty. Let's watch her decay.
Gross.
Right? So here comes a prince galloping along, and he sees her. Does he want to kiss her? No. He's like, oh, she's so beautiful. I'll have her as one of my treasures. He was just going to have her there in the castle foyer, people. It wasn't like he fell in love with her, yeah, because she was so pretty. But it was like he didn't give two craps about having her. Like, oh look, look at this painting, look at this tapestry, look at this dead girl I found in the forest. I mean, when you think about it. And then, while they're carrying her up the steps to the castle, they drop her, and the apple dislodges. Did you know that?
No! Oh,
Yes!
that's so awful.
Yeah, they drop her. They drop the casket, and the apple dislodges. So that's the story, the real story of Snow White. But wait, it gets better. Is it Snow White? Yes, it's Snow White. So you know what? You know what they did with the evil queen? You know what they did, right? Did you know this? With the shoes?
What? The shoes?
You didn't know about the shoes? So
tell me everything.
They invite the evil queen to be witness to the wedding. And what does Snow White make for her? Hello, Snow. You got into it. She had iron shoes with nails poking inwards. And they put it over hot coals and forced the evil queen to dance until she died.
Oh my God!
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
I was like, damn, Snow White, she'd be dark. So there you go.
Mean, you would think that she would be like, I forgive you for all the terrible things.
Wait until you hear about Cinderella. Okay, so you go ahead. Which story are you going to tell? You tell.
Oh, man. Yeah, Cinderella's a doozy. Yeah, I'll talk Little Mermaid. Cinderella is a doozy, though. Oh,
I know.
So, Little Mermaid, right? Yeah, I know. What does it say? You're dripping crispy. What mic camera are you using? I'm happy to tell you, Sandy, that I am just using my phone. Because I don't have anything nice. I'm a new YouTuber, so I'm still learning. But thank you.
Have you hit 100 yet?
I have not. I think I'm at 64, and it's very nice.
By
64 hunts.
You're gonna hit 100.
I would love it. I would be honored.
We're gonna keep doing this on the 31st. Her and I doing this spooky stuff together.
Yes. Such a good time. Yes. So basically.
And what is dripping crispy anyway?
I'm taking it as like you're looking at me like a delectable like PDQ sandwich. So okay. I'm gonna accept that. Yeah, she was angry.
You're at 71. Did you know that?
I am? Oh my God! What a happy day!
I have magic, girl. I have magic. Okay, go ahead. Let's listen to.
Okay, well that made me really happy. So thank you. So the Little Mermaid. Okay, picture it. I'm 4 years old. And I've already watched The Little Mermaid from Disney. Can't even tell you how many times. And my mother goes to the public library and purchases for me a VHS that is The Little Mermaid. And she thinks, oh, it's The Little Mermaid. Obviously, my daughter's going to love it. Let's give it to her to pop on in and watch. All right. So here's what happened. I put in this VHS, and it started off as kind of like a documentary setting where it was talking about Hans Christian Andersen's version of The Little Mermaid, which is very different. So if you don't know about that version, I'm about to tell you exactly what happens. So The Little Mermaid, she is indeed the youngest of 8 sisters, I think it is. Yes. And she, you know, she's perfectly happy the way that she is, but she's a little rambunctious, right? Like she's never around where she says she's going to be. She's always exploring. Right. She, you know, she's all over the place. But the thing is that she desires to know what is up above the surface. And her family protects her so much because she's the youngest and severely much the youngest. Like I think her sister's the oldest one is 20 years older than her. So she's especially the youngest. And so everyone is super protective of her. Now,
very similar to the movie, so we're good on that. So
very similar. And it continues to stay similar to even when she finds the prince, who then suffers from a fire on a ship and saves him from death and brings him up on shore. And he wakes up and has that moment of, I don't know who this is, but this lady saved me. And then when he becomes conscious, he doesn't find her. And like the story, he insists that he will find this lady. But here's the thing. The Little Mermaid in the original tale had long, glorious blonde hair. And the prince is convinced that the lady who saved him had beautiful blue eyes just like her, but had black hair. So.
Oh, that's why they did that in the movie.
They didn't connect that, but I knew. So basically what ended up happening was she, just like in the original tale, goes to the sea witch. Now here's the deal about this curse, right? Sea witch is like, sure, cool, fine. I'll give you what you want. I'll give you legs for an entire week. And you have to get him to kiss you and also get him to marry you before the end of the week. If not, your life is mine. As in, she's going to kill her. Like, not like, oh, you're in servitude. No, you're going to die by her hand. So the week comes and she goes up to the surface. But here's the thing, just like the story, she cannot speak.
Right.
So
because why? What did the queen do? What did the evil witch do?
Took her vocal cords.
She
literally.
No. She took her tongue. She ripped her tongue.
And in my story, like Annie, in the freaking VHS, I have yet to find it these days. In the VHS I watched, it showed her taking it from her throat, like going, and like eating it. And I'm 4. And it was terrible. But anyway, so basically, you know, she can't speak, obviously. But she's got to convince this guy that she's the one who saved him. So they have this beautiful week together. And he falls in love with her and says, I'm going to marry you. But because he's a bachelor, obviously the king is sending over eligible princesses.
Right.
Who's to come but this beautiful princess that has beautiful blue eyes like the sea and black hair. The same way that he thought he saw. So they're going to get married in a day, and she only has 1 day left to make the deal, right? So where are you getting all this? Well, I actually ended up, the VHS is where I'm getting most of this from.
Story. This is the true Hans Christian Andersen story. That's not where we're getting it. The original.
Yes, definitely look up the original because it's a lot. So it's the night before the wedding. She has literally until sunrise to get him to change his mind. She can't speak. She doesn't know what she's going to do. Her sisters know that she's in trouble, know that she's going to die, and they cut off all of their hair and gave it to the sea witch in exchange for a special dagger, for which then the sea witch tells the sisters if the Little Mermaid takes the dagger and stabs the prince in the heart and allows her the blood to like get all over her, she'll turn back into a mermaid and can go back into the sea. But if she doesn't,
nice story?
That's so nice. Just go ahead. Just stab him. Just do it. Just do it. It's fine. Just do it.
And mind you, the Little Mermaid was all in her right. Like, wait a minute, I gave up. But did you talk about? Wait, we didn't talk about what her feet felt like when she walked.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, what was it? What was it, Annie? It was like
stabbing daggers going up her legs.
Yes, like I think that they compared it to like the torture device. Was it like an Iron Maiden where like it would just go tighter and tighter? I forgot that detail. Thank you. But yeah, anyway, so basically how this goes is she's got to stab him, right? But she's only got a couple hours for sunrise. If she doesn't stab him and doesn't complete the ritual, she turns into sea foam and hence dies. So obviously she like goes to the chamber and he's sleeping there with his like new like bride and she's like about to stab him. But then she's like, I can't do it because I love him so much. So she goes to the bow of the ship and the sun comes up and she turns into sea foam and it destroyed my entire childhood. It was horrible and I felt lied to.
And she died. And one more, and here's the thing, the moral of the story is like with Snow White, like don't take anything for free and don't compete with like a big queen. The moral of the story in this one is don't want more than you already got. If you live in the sea, you stay in the sea. If you poor, you stay poor. That was the whole thing.
And that's so sad. It's so sad, Annie, because like today, that story would never fly. Like we're all about follow your dreams. The world is your oyster. No pun intended. Like you literally can do anything you want.
That's actually very good. No pun intended. That's hilarious.
But that, like that tale would never fly. these days. It would never fly.
No, but that important part was not only did she get rid of she got rid of her tongue, couldn't talk, and then she had like stabby daggers going through her feet every time she walked. And then the thing is that he would ask her to dance. He would ask her to dance because she couldn't talk, so she would dance for him in tears and agony.
Just so sad.
So sad.
It's I would argue it's the most tragic of all the fairy tales that I've found.
Yeah,
I would argue it's the most tragic.
The other ones eventually get there happily, but yeah, hers sucked.
Yeah, hers definitely sucked.
All right, which one's next? You want to do Cinderella?
Oh yeah, talk about Cinderella. Yeah.
Cinderella.
She's really effed up, Cinderella.
So obviously, the Grimm brothers had an issue with like stepmothers.
Oh my god.
Really? Truly. I don't know why. What was the thing with stepmothers back in the day?
Well, like, not to interrupt your train of thought.
No.
I found that around that time, parents were just abandoning their kids constantly.
Oh my god! Let's not even get started with Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah, and that is a really messed up one. Real messed up origin. But I think it was because of that, because like there was so much death and disease and famine everywhere that it just turned into, especially if you were of money, you were expected to still marry so that you could pass down something. Yeah. And obviously, like if you had to marry somebody in a week, how connected are you? And people didn't marry for love back then. Introduce me to a couple that married for love back then. Change my mind.
Nobody. It was all, and especially if you had, the more money you had, it was based on family and money and power and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
All that stuff. So yeah, I don't know much about like the beginning of Cinderella. I just know like the end of Cinderella pretty much, and the sisters. Oof. Do you know the beginning?
Well, the beginning is almost exactly the same from what I understand.
Yeah.
She
was in servitude to the evil stepmother and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they were really cruel to her. Like they beat her and stuff like that, And the whole cinder thing, like she slept by the fire because it was the coldest place that she was forced to sleep, which is why she was covered in cinder, and since they call her Cinderella. But they were so cruel to her. Like it was like stuff where like they would like feed her like disgusting things.
Rats. They would feed her rats. Like Gus. That's what she would eat for dinner, people. Gus.
That's just horrible. And I would say the one additional thing that I wouldn't say is different, but it's definitely embellished on, is when she does like become enchanted and go to the ball. The whole thing with like the pumpkin and the mice and all of that. Yeah. There was something else that was enchanted that was like really weird and off the cuff that didn't quite make any sense. I want to say it had to do with the foot person who like was responsible for like taking her out of the carriage and putting her back in.
A lizard or something.
I want to say it wasn't a mouse. It was like
it was a lizard. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. So but yeah, it was essentially the same story wrapped up into that.
And it wasn't a pumpkin. It was a turnip.
It wasn't. Yes, it was a turnip.
Because pumpkins are American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fun little fact that I learned when I was looking up my Halloween facts.
There you go.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Amy. And the ending is it's a doozy. Do you want to talk about that? Because it's a doozy.
Well, it was fun because so like the sisters are like, okay, let's get into these shoes because we gotta, the prince goes around trying on the shoes on everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And the sisters know that like Cinderella had tiny feet. Why? We don't know. Apparently, back in the day, the richer you were, the smaller your feet were. Something like that.
What? Like that doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense.
I know. But anyway, so what the sisters did was they cut off a couple of toes just to get their shoes in. They cut off their toes, people.
With blood everywhere in that shoe. Like no one's gonna notice.
Yes.
Like, and how do you even walk? Like
I don't walk. I don't know. But eventually, the prince figures out, oh well, these ladies cut off their toes to fit their feet in these shoes, and that's kind of frauds. So yeah, I don't want to do anything with them. I'll take the dirty one in the corner.
I'll take the dirty one in the
corner. Pretty much. And then I'm trying to cover the holes back here. And then, so Cinderella has her sisters come to the party, but and then she sets them up with these pigeons that peck their eyes out.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's like, oh. And
Really?
it's funny. It's funny, Andy, because are you a musical person? Like, do you know about Into the Woods?
I haven't watched that yet.
So Into the Woods, the thing, I think you actually would enjoy it because it does kind of go around what we're talking about. But Into the Woods talks truly about the ending of Cinderella and like shows like the stepsisters cutting off their toes and then like shows the pigeons taking their eyes out. So in the next act, they're blind and they're hobbling around like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's brutal. So if you're into musicals, anybody out there, I don't know, I might be the only one, but if you're into musicals, it's a fun one and I think you might enjoy it.
Cool.
There's another one. I know that we were going to talk. We're going to talk next about Sleeping Beauty. Was that the one that we were going to?
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty's a good one too.
Yes. Why not? Right. I want to say
there's always space for necrophilia in every kind of conversation we have. Why not?
Every time, just so natural. Yes, definitely do that, Deanna, because I wish I could tell you where I found it exactly. My mom found it in the public library, but I'm sure if you Google it, it might still exist somewhere. It looked like it was animated like in Japanese anime style. I remember that.
And, somebody said, oh, I hope I sleep well tonight. Well, you got to remember, a lot of these stories were built around girls.
Mm-hmm. Cautionary tales.
Home. Don't, listen to strangers. Don't, it was all about repression.
Listen to your father.
Listen to your father and get married to the man that he gives to you. If not, something awful is going to happen.
It's so funny because I feel like I didn't follow any of that at all.
Really? Oh, because I took a lit course on it and it was like, yeah, this is totally female repression.
Yeah.
And also criticizing the older woman at the same time, creating the old crone.
Yes, which is, not only with
witches, exactly, witches.
But they were all made into witches. I mean, Maleficent was considered that as well, like.
So now that we're talking Maleficent and I have like spider things all over the glue webs or whatever. So now that since we're talking about Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty, let's talk about Sleeping Beauty. Yeah. So what happened with like Maleficent? Why did she get all mad, people? Do you guys remember the story? Why did she get all mad?
Because a man scorned her?
No, that is not a true movie. I will never recognize that movie because they ruined one of the best villainesses in Disney history. Ruined. I hate it. They went the Frozen. Philip was the best prince. And they made him like some, New Direction or whatever, One Direction guy or whatever. Prince Philip, like he had a sword and he went galloping into the rose bushes and he was like through the sword of truth and, he was even in prison for it.
I mean, a dragon. That's kind of major.
Yeah, like all the other princes, what do they do? Dance? Come on.
Yeah, basically.
Come on.
Basically.
Prince
and
Philip,
sing.
He was the man. He was the man. So anyway, here's the story of Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty. Because the queen was so OCD. Did you know this part?
That she was OCD? The queen?
Yeah.
That I did know.
The queen, the mother of Sleeping Beauty, also known as AKA Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
She was so OCD that she was like, okay, we gotta get ready for her baptism and let's set the table. Oh dear, we don't have enough table settings. That fairy with all that power, let's just diss her. Forget about let's keep the Duchess and so and so. But that scary one with all the powers, yeah, let's just diss her. Basically, there wasn't a place setting for Maleficent, so they totally dissed her, didn't invite her to the party. I'm totally saying, I'm calling it right now, that woman was Cuban. Because you diss a Cuban woman from a baptism, a baby shower, a bridal shower, you will never hear the end of it. You will be cursed.
They straight up were like, "Oh no, we lost your invitation by carrier pigeon. The raven."
Yeah. Yes, Briar Rose. That was another name, but her name was Aurora.
Yeah, Briar Rose.
Briar Rose when they hid her, but her real name was Aurora.
But the story of Briar Rose still is also like real icky.
That one's icky too.
So icky.
Yeah. Tell us the story of Briar Rose.
Well, let's talk about how this one, like, if we're talking about stories that are all about like stay inside, don't talk to strangers, listen to your father, don't do anything that I wouldn't do. That was the story of Briar Rose. And from what I remember, because I actually, when I was in high school, I ran across it because I want to say somebody like had the book and gave it to me and saying like, this is wild. Check this out. Oh, that is beautiful, Annie.
Well, I had to cover the holes. There's holes here.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't know. It's so beautiful.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cover it, but I needed to do it.
Yeah. Know? No, listen, you could like, it looks like it was supposed to be that way. It looks so
okay. There you go. There you go.
To make a very icky story like as compact as possible.
Yeah,
because it's icky. Like, I don't think that there's any nice way to put it. Briar Rose went through a considerable amount of sheltering, rape, as well as she was basically enslaved. Like, she had to, almost like Cinderella in a way, where she had to like cook and clean and prepare all of this for these people who didn't owe her anything and were also her abusers. Mm-hmm. And, at one point, I think it was just a man, and I forget who the man exactly was in regards to it. I want to say he had something to do with hiding her away, of course. So he must have
Is Briar Rose a different version of Sleeping Beauty, or is Sleeping Beauty?
From what I understand, it's a different telling of it, but it is the same thing. Like, it's like if we were taking the story of Sleeping Beauty and separating it into 3 volumes, the first volume being what happened to Maleficent, the second volume being Briar Rose, third volume being the ending. That's how it is. But yes, I found that particular part of the story probably could have been left out entirely, but unfortunately it wasn't, and it was really gross,
gruesome,
just bad.
They used to tell this to children, people.
Yeah, like, oh my god. And I honestly, I don't even know what I would do. I couldn't even fathom something like that, to even understand what any of that meant. It was just a different time. It really genuinely was. Victorian era was weird. Glad we're not there anymore.
Which one? Oh yeah, Victorian. Well, it was before the Victorian era. This is way before.
Actually, I'm glad that that crafting lady said that, because she was talking about how you need to read the Sleeping Beauty books by Anne Rice. I also read those. And yeah, like, I want to say that I obviously enjoyed those more because at least they were fiction-ish. Yeah. I genuinely believe that the story of Briar Rose actually could have happened to somebody in that time, because just bad. Just
okay,
bad.
I'm ripping this rose off. I don't like it.
You don't like it? Let me see.
Rip it off.
Are you ripping all of them off?
No, some of them. It's just too much. I can't see my face. What's the point of a mirror if I can't see my face?
You got it. I mean, that's kind of rude. Can you imagine giving somebody a mirror and it's covered in stuff?
So what happens with Sleeping Beauty is basically the same story. The fairies take her away because this threat has been placed on her and all this stuff, and they take away all the spinning wheels and all this other stuff. But then it gets like interesting when she actually touches a spinning wheel, falls asleep.
It's unavoidable.
It's unavoidable, exactly. And she falls asleep. But who wakes her up? Let's tell the kind people who wakes her up. Was it the prince?
Was it Maleficent?
No.
Because wasn't that the way? Wasn't that the story? Tell us.
No, never. So here's how the story goes, people. You want to tell them? Or
no, I insist. I insist you say it.
So here's the story. So, Aurora's, she's dead asleep, pretty much dead asleep. And the prince comes along and goes, yeah, sure, I'll take her. And
oh my God.
Like he takes her. Like in the literal sense. He takes her. He has his way with her. Several years. She's just laying there, pretty much a sex slave. For years. How do we know this? Because she births 2 children.
In her sleep.
In her sleep.
In her freaking sleep.
And one of them kisses her, and that's how they wake her up. Wasn't it something like that? Or was
yes.
that he kissed? No. He was a baby, and he was sucking her finger and pulled out the
right
the needle of the spinning wheel.
And then it's babies licking freaking needles. Like,
but I mean, he was raped for years.
This whole story is like effed up from 6 ways to Sunday. Like, I really don't have any other way to describe it. I don't.
I mean, really, truly, what the heck? What the heck?
And additional, do you have like an alarm? What is that?
No, that's my phone. It's Indiana Jones.
Of course. How could I expect otherwise,
yeah,
right?
That's the beautiful story of Sleeping Beauty, people.
Oh my gosh. You know what I think we're doing right now, Annie? We're making it so that we're making it so that anybody who like is expecting young ones and like maybe they're like, I'm gonna make my nursery this fairy tale theme. I bet you're thinking twice now. You know what's another really effed up one? Pinocchio.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought up Pinocchio. Tell him what happens to poor Jim and his cricket.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, well I actually okay.
It's amazing that we both know this. I love it. Like we didn't plan for this. We just both love like dark sides of fairy tales.
Oh yes. Well, because I mean, for you to literally go through life and not know this at some point, you know, Google is just so ample with all this information and oftentimes has a lot of the original text for you to read. The biggest reason why I knew about how effed up Pinocchio was, what is this? If you want to read this version, it's called Sun, Moon, and Talia. Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes, there's a different take on Rumpelstiltskin. We got to talk about Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, my God. There's like a never-ending list.
Yes.
So Pinocchio. One of the biggest things that I found that was like really just icky was the carnival scene with the marionettes. Oh. Basically, to put a fine point on it, the guy who's running it is like a child sex trafficker character style. So he is like kidnapping these kids and making them into marionette dolls. Like they're not puppets. They're children. And he's like, oh, it's really cool to put on some strings and to dance around, and then you're just gonna sleep in my very tiny tent with me, and it's totally normal and totally. Oh God, it's just.
And do you remember what he did to Jiminy Cricket?
Oh my God, I don't.
He threw him against the wall and then threw a shoe on him and killed him.
No!
Because he got tired of his chirping to try to make him do the right thing.
I don't mean to laugh. Oh my God.
And then, you know, Pinocchio runs away and they take Geppetto and put him in jail.
Oh no!
Because they think he's an abuser. And then wait a minute. Because Pinocchio was such an ass, they hung him. That's how it ends.
They hung him up?
They
hung him.
They hung him.
Oh my God.
Well, let's talk Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, let's talk about, because actually that's one that I don't have all the details on for the original. So if you have any information, I'd love for you to share.
Yes. So what happens is the same story, basically. There's this beautiful maiden who wants to get attention from the king, and she says, oh, I can spin wheat into gold. Look at me. I can spin wheat into gold. You know, I'm like, whatever.
Sounds like a con artist.
I'm a crafter, and I can do this. And so the king's like, sure, let's go to the castle. Go ahead, spin my wheat. And then she's like crying, like, and this little guy comes up, Rumpelstiltskin. He goes, hey, I know how to spin wheat into gold, but you got to promise me your first baby. She's like, dude, anything. Just let me get married to the king. So he spins the wheat into gold.
So
he says, but if you don't know my name, I'm taking your baby.
So she gets married, the whole shebang, and then she has a baby. And then she's coming to get her and get the baby. And she's like, no, give me a few more days. And then she has somebody like listen in to find out what his name is. And she tells him, your name is Rumpelstiltskin. He gets so upset. He is stomping his feet on the ground. So much so that one of his feet gets buried so deep in the ground that he can't pull it up. But he's so upset and he's so angered at the princess or the queen that she is now that he literally tears himself in two.
What?
He rips himself apart.
What?
Look it up.
I did not expect that. What? Oh my god. Well, because it's so funny, Annie, because the original ending is obviously like he gets so upset that he's like stomping around and like he basically stomps into like the netherworld of nowhere. You know?
Yeah. He rips himself apart.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate that because I see how it looks on the camera there, and with me, I'm like, I think it looks nice, so I'm hoping that it looked nice. Thank you.
Everybody's saying it's a beautiful painting.
Thank you.
So let's go into, we're already at 45 minutes, so let's go into the true, and okay, so let's just put it this way. Go to your Grimm's. There's a reason why it's called Grimm's Fairy Tale, people. They Grimm. I mean, Little Red Riding Hood gets eaten by the wolf. Everything happens, people. It's like terrible. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. The frog prince, you know how he becomes a prince? She never kisses him. You know that?
Yeah. I knew that.
So what is it? Because he keeps getting closer to her, and finally he shows up on her bed. What does she do to the frog? She slams him against the wall and dies, and he becomes a prince.
So screwy.
The frog, people. Yeets the frog.
Yeets the frog.
She yeets the frog.
Hashtag yeets the frog.
Don't do that. That's not nice.
Oh man. Well, okay. Hey, how about Hansel and Gretel?
Go for it.
So I did for Christmas time. One of my dear friends gifted me a spooky gingerbread house, and I was like, okay, well, while I'm putting it together, I'll tell the original story of Hansel and Gretel. And like we were talking about earlier, in that time of the early 1800s, a lot of famine and a lot of like poor was happening. No one really had money to support their own families unless you came from like a very well-off area. You really didn't have any money to support your own family. So what would happen is that parents would just up and abandon their kids in the middle of the woods. They would just be like, oh, we're going to the woods, and be like, look over there. And then they turn around and the kids would, they would be left alone because they just up and ditched them. So, and that happened all the time. And it was because like they were so hungry. So in the original story of Hansel and Gretel, Hansel's the one who at first, that we all know the story about breadcrumbs. At first it was actually rocks because they didn't have anything to eat, and they would actually eat rocks so that they could feel some form of fullness, which is like sad, right? But eventually that graduated into breadcrumbs. So when they find the candy house, basically what happens is that Hansel finds the candy house first. His sister Gretel finds it much later after Hansel is captured by a witch on the inside who's trying to fatten him up so that not only can she eat him, but she makes Gretel eat her brother first. And then she eats Gretel. Gross. Just nasty, fat, nasty.
No happy ending. But doesn't she push? But she pushes the witch in.
She does. But it's kind of, it's effed up.
Yeah, no, it's totally effed up. Now, and I heard another version that it was literally there was a chef or whatever to the king or whatever. This is true. This is what I heard in my research. Well, I didn't hear it because I didn't. This is hundreds of years ago, people.
Yeah.
There was a cook in the town that was, for like the rich people, right? The duke or the duchess or whatever, But they preferred this woman was cooking on her own. She was a widow, all alone, a crone, and she would bake bread. And apparently her bread was better than this guy's bread. So he started, and she was in the forest. So that somebody had to go and get it in the forest because in a little hovel. So he came up with the whole thing that she was a witch and she was baking children into her bread, and that's why it was so sweet.
Ah.
Keeping the woman down. Keeping the woman down.
Well, it's just so sad. So sad. They gave me nightmares when I was a kid, and I dreamed I watched my mother kill my little brother. Never let your kids read the real stories. My mom freaked out. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Wait, we left the best for last. So
Of course.
good night, Pam. Pam's leaving. So
Good night,
now
Pam.
we're both okay. So here's my. I'm putting some. I just put like I don't know. It looks like crap. I don't care.
No, it doesn't.
It does. It does.
I love it. I would love that in my house. I don't care what you say. I think it looks lovely.
I'm putting like some thorns and stuff. That's what these bloody thorns. Bloody thorns.
Oh yes.
So now we're going to talk about the true, real crime story of the most prolific. Get this. If you like to hear stories about Ted Bundy, nah. If you think like, Manson is like the most evil, wicked person in the world,
Go.
forget it. Any of those serial killers that you know of, none of that. The Killer Clown, all those people, they hold nothing up to the woman that we're going to talk about now. And
Drink that baby juice.
We're not cheering to her because this is a true story of the most prolific serial killer ever that you never heard about. Right? The Countess of Bathory. Right? Bathory?
Yes, Elizabeth Bathory.
Elizabeth Bathory. And we're both experts on this because we're sickos and we're just fascinated that this woman actually existed.
Hey, we're delightful sickos. Let's
Yes, we are.
Let's be nice to ourselves.
So I'm going to start. We'll go back and forth because we both know about her.
Absolutely.
So Elizabeth Bathory, this was in the 1600s, am I correct?
Yep.
1700s. She was beautiful. She was a countess. And I know his name was Frank something or other, but this is in Hungary, people.
Yes.
Hungary. And she had this castle. And people started disappearing. And they were wondering, like, what the heck is going on? There was this one guy that was like, why are so many people disappearing from this town? Oh, the famine, blah, 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 blah. Little did they know. In this castle, she had servants that would help her basically steal children. And, it was mostly children. It was young people.
It had to be, it was the young because not only, I'm sure you'll elaborate, but it mostly virginal people.
Had to be virginal. Because, well, she would bathe in their blood to stay young. So
and like full baths.
Yes.
Full baths.
They would literally hang the child over the bathtub, slit their, and let them bleed over her. Why do we even go further than this? But apparently there was a book that was found because she kept account. This is the thing that led us to know that there was literally a ledger that she kept with the number of people that she killed. Would you like to continue?
Yeah. Which honestly, I gotta say, like, there are people that argue that was her way of being human with her victims, where she was like, well, I want to remember with who they are. No. Every person who has followed any kind of serial killer or basically any true crime doc knows that whenever a person commits the same murder over a multiple period of time, they are doing that for trophies. So they remember what they did, because of course she drained them of their blood and then disposed of their bodies, so no one ever knew about them. She had no way.
It wasn't like, no, that was like at the end of everything she did to these things,
oh my god, yes. Okay, so here's the thing, is that the biggest reason why she did this is because she believed, and a lot of people in this time believed that, she believed that if you bathed in the blood of young youthful, virginal people, oftentimes females, less males, mostly females, because it was the idea of taking their essence.
Yes.
You would remain young forever, or at least look youthful forever. And she wasn't, that's the thing, is when she first started this, she wasn't very old. She was what, like not even in her 30s?
No, by the time she died, she was actually 54.
Yeah, exactly. So she, I mean, she did this for quite a while. But the thing is that she was so vain. She was so incredibly vain with, oh, thank you, Liz. She was so incredibly vain with her idea of wanting to remain youthful and young. And the funny thing is, Annie, is that she didn't mean to remain youthful and young for a man, for her husband, for the sake of being wanted. She did it for her. For her.
She would, but the thing is, she would torture these kids. Torture. But here's the thing. Guess what happened? Guess what started happening? She was doing these these blood treatments and stuff, doing blood Botox, whatever you want to call it.
Blood Botox.
I'm serious. And guess what happened? She started to age. So you know what? Those little vagrant children and the little peasant children and the little gypsy children, they weren't enough. The little gypsy girls, they weren't enough. So what happens? She invites a noble. And this is where the story of Snow White starts. Because she invites a noble young lady to like hang out. Hey, come on over. I'll be like your auntie. I'll be, come on, I'll teach you all these things so you can catch a good husband like I did. Look how I live.
Come on over, girl.
Super rich. And then when that girl disappears, they're like, wait a minute. This is the daughter of a noblewoman. And yes, this was on Amazon. If you look up lore, it's a bunch of wacky, creepy, real stories. Look up lore and you'll find the Countess of Blood. So yes. So that's what happened. And then they found her book. How many people do you know how many people she killed?
Oh, God.
That was recorded. I know.
I can't remember exactly what it was. It was an astronomical amount.
It was over 600 people that she killed within 2 to 4 years.
And that's like insane. Because if you break down the math on that, that would mean that she was killing at least like 4 to 5 people a day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was 600, 365 days. It was like 2 or 3 a week. Over 2 years.
Okay, well, math is hard for me, and I was born on this planet to do this, clearly. Okay. But the point is that when you think about it, that how many people she killed and how she managed to hide it from her courtesans for that long, because her court was like tight knit. Most times they were like that, but at the same time, it was incredible that she managed to get away from it purely by the threat of, if you don't keep quiet, I'll do this to you too.
Well, the thing is that because her servants would help her. They would help her because they were like, well, I'll get somebody else for her to kill because they're not going to kill me.
The Purple Pixie actually brought up a really great fact. Her servants even had scars where she would cut them open and bleed them too. Yeah, because I even read that some of them were like kind of just so out, like off their rocker for her that they were like, yes, I will willingly bleed for you because I love you so much.
And she would like bite pieces of skin. Oh no, it was awful. You don't want to get into it. But I mean, the problem is that this is truly recorded. It's not like hearsay. It was recorded. Now get this, they capture everybody and kill like a lot of her 2 ladies in waiting that would help her kill these girls. They got like did they pluck their eyes out and then they set them on fire while they were still alive?
Yeah, they made it a point to be like, we're gonna do something crazy and medieval.
They went medieval on their ass.
They sure did. They sure did. Actually, I'm really glad that Deanna talked about Lady Dracula, because a lot of people think that Vlad the Impaler is the only person who can be based off of vampire lore. But Elizabeth Bathory is very much responsible for that too, because the idea of vampirism is to remain youthful, no matter how old you are. And her idea was that she was going to remain youthful. And and this idea translated over time too, back in New Orleans with the one story from American Horror Story Coven with Lady La Hallery.
Marie. But yes, and then Leah Junkernecker brings up, yes. So here's the thing: she didn't want. She's like, I'm not leaving my castle. You can try me, but I'm not gonna leave my castle. So she didn't leave her castle. So guess what? They imprisoned her in a room with no sunlight, with a mirror, just so she could watch herself deteriorate and die. They pretty much. It took her 4 years to die.
Why do you think of it only took her 4 years? Like, do you think that I realize that like now we can only really theorize, but do you think that she intentionally wanted to like make herself slowly die? Do you think that she like caused herself to go crazy and so she just didn't eat? What do you think?
Why she died in 4 years?
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't feeding her the best stuff, and I'm sure they were poisoning her or something, or I don't know.
I think that's a good theory. I always kind of wondered that because I mean now it's all very hearsay, like we can't really figure out exactly how. I mean, a lot of people in that time died in their 40s and 50s constantly from things like they didn't know what cancer was back then.
I mean, 50 back then was like 70 or 80 now.
I know. And it's incredible. But it also is one of those things where she like lives down in infamy, but the fact that like even after she died, she still had so many people that like really supported her is disgusting.
It is.
And the only reason why I studied her and decided to do a project on her was because I just found her so fascinating.
Well, and here's the thing, because everybody always talks about, all these other serial killers, but because this was further back in time, and here's the thing, again, it's recorded. It's not like hearsay. They really have recorded, and she recorded names.
Yes.
It wasn't like, no. She was very meticulous in recording the names, and like you said, it was a trophy thing,
Yes. Oh, so, exactly that. Just wild.
It is. I don't know if we have anything. So let me see. Let's see your drawing. Let's see your painting.
Yes. Here it is. I
finished Look at that. I love the cheekbones.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Not to be Angelina Jolie about it, but there it is.
Oh, no. I mean, no, not for nothing. They did a very good job picking Angelina Jolie. I just hated the whole story. I'm like,
I understand that. I get that. I thought she was a great choice.
Oh, and by the way, here, let's talk one last one, because this was not a Grimm fairy tale. This was Peter Pan. Do you realize that Peter Pan sometimes, because I love Peter Pan.
Me too.
You and I have got to talk Peter Pan. I wrote a book and never got published, but I wrote a book on the continuation of Peter Pan. We'll talk about it after. But Peter Pan, a lot of people speculated, because James Barry lost the favorite brother of the family. He died, David. He died very young. They consider Peter Pan like the reason that he would steal away children. It was because they would die infant death. Oh. So Neverland was a place that kids were never supposed to come back from. So that was why,
So like heaven.
Yeah, kind of like heaven. But he kind of like heaven. Kind of like.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I would buy into that though. I would definitely buy into that. Like if I were a child of that age and I was going through that and someone explained to me, you might not make it past here, but where you're going is amazing and you'll never grow up and you can do all of these things. I don't know. It's kind of sweet, like, but I know. I'm demented.
He would steal babies.
That's true. Yeah. Also, don't steal babies. Don't steal babies.
Don't steal babies. And actually, Captain Hook was the personification of James Barry.
Yes. And it's so funny because that translated into like the stage version of the shows, because they always casted Mr. Darling and Captain Hook as this role, and they always made the Mr. Darling character look very much like Mr. James, because I don't know what it is. Because
he described the way he described him, his mustache, his eyes. He was describing himself and his dark hair. He was
so interesting.
Yeah,
this is amazing. You are a well of knowledge. I swear. Like, wow. You are. I'm gonna brag about you. I am. Like, I'm sure everybody here agrees with me. Like, you're a wealth of knowledge and you're so great to talk to and you're so fun. Thank you so much for having me. Like, this was such a treat.
This was fun. I have my I'm gonna redo it and make it prettier. I will make it.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I'll make it prettier. I mean, because I want to paint the bottom. I will do my best. What you got there, little ghosty?
Oh, I named him Booington. He was a gift from Halloween last year for me.
Oh, so cute.
He stays with me wherever I film. He's like my little good luck charm.
Oh. And they're talking about like the beanstalk. Everybody wants to. I think people want to hear more about this, so we'll do another one.
We'll do a part 2 to this because there's a lot.
I want to thank you once again, Lern, for being here. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your crafting. And thank you all for watching. And Lern, do you have a way that you say goodbye to everybody? Do you have like a? Go ahead.
Yes.
Give him a send off.
Yes, I do. And again, thank you so much before I send everything off. Annie, thank you so much for having me. Everyone, thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in with us, having a good time. I'm very grateful to be here and for this opportunity. So the way I send off all of my videos is thank you. The way I send off all my videos is because my name is Lern the Conjurer. I say, remember the rules of conjuring. Never play alone.
Yeah.
Never play in a graveyard. And always say goodbye. And then we say goodbye.
Goodbye. And I always say, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure. This was an adventurous night, guys. I liked it. So stick around and you'll see me back on Tuesday. I might have a video out tomorrow. I don't know. Because Christy Creates has a playlist tomorrow. So if I get a chance after this, I'll record something. So good night, guys. We'll see you Tuesday. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Stick around. Don't leave.